Okay, so this is the main pump. I've just pulled it out of the water. Now, if the water goes down and you hear a funny sound, that's probably this sucking air. And it's really important that the water can get into this pump. So you can see that the inlet to the pump is totally clogged. And it's really important that every now and then, even if it be once a month, that you want to pull this out, give this a good clean, and put it back in again. Because if this is clogged up and that's clogged up, the water is not going to get into the pump very well and it's not going to work properly. So I'm just going to give this a clean now. And then this pipe here, I'm going to have to reattach that because for some reason it's broken. Apparently there is a crayfish or yabby in here. And then as far as that's concerned, the yabby is going to shed its skin sometimes. And shedding its skin is something that will just happen. But it's important if it does shed its skin to leave the shell in the water. Because the yabby needs to eat it. Yeah, so the yabby needs to eat the shell to get its calcium back. The other thing is the yabby may or may not be a very good idea for this pond because it may climb out, and then also the yabby may eat the fish when it gets bigger. So you just got to keep an eye on it, and it may or may not. The more you learn about yabbies, the less you say, because the just depends on the personality of the one you've got. So this is a red claw yabby or crayfish, and this is not a shell, this is a dead animal. And the fact that this was in this pond and it didn't climb out, and the fact that it didn't eat the fish is pretty amazing. So I would not recommend replacing this guy because he's probably going to be trouble. I'm topping the pond up with water. I'm just going to spray a bit of water ager in there just to take out any chlorine that might be in the water that I'm adding with the tap. Now this cheap Chinese ribbed hose I would never recommend using because it goes brittle really quickly and it's basically impossible to work with. So I would recommend against it. The good quality German or Wasa stuff is excellent, but the cheap Chinese stuff, the ribbed hose just falls apart. It's impossible to work with and I hate it. Fix this pump, but it's basically held together with hopes and dreams because this pipe is really, really rigid. And it was very hard to attach the very rigid old pipe onto that. So I would have much rather used a fitting that worked much better. It's definitely working for now. And then on the inlet, I've given that a clean. And because the casing really just didn't go back in properly, I've sort of wedged a rock against it. So all this is functioning perfectly. But yeah, it's held together with hopes and dreams. So that's working very, very powerfully now. On the waterfall, there's quite a bit of algae growing. So brushing that off is an option, or hitting it with a gurney is definitely an option, or just leaving it alone is an option too. Because all the algae that grows on it just helps to remove the phosphate from the water. But you can see now that I've cleaned the pump, you can see that's very powerful. It's much more powerful than it was before. So if that reduces in power, that waterfall, then there's two things you can do. You can either, first of all, give the pump a clean, or give the filter a clean that's in the back. But this is running really well now. So the pond has had a bit of a water change because I backwashed it a little bit, and that could be done more regularly. The extra pump is running beautifully now. The fish are very healthy and happy. The water is quite good. If at any point you wanted to clean some of these decorations, you could pull them out and chuck them in the sun. Now the last thing there is to do is something that won't be getting done right now, but at some point I could look at bringing my vacuum over and then vacuuming the substrate. So see here, the substrate is quite fine and it's fairly dirty. It's not too bad. Now, there is a product that I'm going to recommend that we're aware of, which is called Pristine. Because Pristine helps to actually break down a lot of the solid waste that is in the substrate and in the filter. So dosing this pond every now and then with Pristine is something I'd like to do or recommend doing. And then every now and then, if we either gave the floor of the pond a good vacuum, or if we're not giving it a good vacuum, just give it a good stir. Because if you don't ever stir the gravel, which mind you, the fish will do it a little bit anyway. That's a bit of fun. So what this is doing is just stirring up the gravel. And the reason why we want to stir the gravel up sometimes is we want to let the oxygen get into the gravel so it doesn't become anoxic. It's just giving the gravel a stir. Yeah, I think I'm enjoying this too much. Why not? You can. No. Okay, so if anything dies, it's really important to get it out straight away. Like for example, Mr. Lobster fell in the water. And if he was left in the water, he can actually pollute the water. And any dead fish can pollute the water. Waste it up, like make it, it can actually kill the fish by poisoning the fish.
So this can poison the fish?
Yeah, if it's dead, yeah, it can. And then also, it's really important with when we feed our fish, we want to put a little bit of food in, make sure all the food's eaten in 30 seconds. And we never want food rotting in the pond, because the rotting food will deteriorate the water quality too. With the LED lights and that for ponds, try not to have too high an expectation for LED lights, because a lot of the cheap ones that you buy at the hardware store and stuff, they really don't last for very long. If you buy good quality underwater lights, they're actually very, very expensive. So there are good ones available, but there's so many cheap ones available. And that's why I wouldn't want you to be too worried if you put some LED lights in a watery environment and wonder why they don't last long. Now, the next thing is, one of the best things you can do every now and then is just have a fish net. And then every now and then when you see leaves and stuff, if you just give it a bit of a collect, because everything that you collect out of the pond stops it from having to rot. Yeah. So just having a fish net and just giving the pond a little bit of a net whenever you see leaf litter and stuff in it, that's really great. And then every now and then, if you wanted to, you could just get yourself a brush and give the waterfall a bit of a clean, or you could give it a gurney. I'm just trying this now to see if it makes the light any brighter, which it may or may not. One of the main things I want you to do besides feed the fish is I want you to make sure that on a semi-regular basis, at least every 3 months, but more often if you're worried, is to make us a nice video so we can see everything that's going on. And the other thing we want to see in the video, besides everything going on, is we want to see your fish food, your water ager, and any other fish stuff you've got. And the other thing I'd really love you to do with this too is go and chuck about 500 grams of salt in there. So if you just got some rock salt or something and just dumped a bit of salt in there. Oh, wow. A little bit of salt, under 1 gram per litre, won't affect the plants at all. Yeah. Not that that matters either. But a little bit of salt really helps the fish's immune system.
Oh, what sort of salt?
Like rock salt or pool salt or just anything that's just pure salt.
Oh, okay.
Little, like about 500 grams of salt in here would actually be very good for the fish.
I
Yeah, you can, this is a rock.